What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Jacob in Wisconsin, here to talk a little Packers as we get set to do battle with the Titans tomorrow. I know I'm going to be leaving out, heading towards Chattanooga, Tennessee here in a few hours. We're going to crash there and then spend the night in Nashville tomorrow night after the game. You know, Jacob, I'd rather drive into town the day of the game and then try to recover in the hotel the next day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Nashville has a way of sucking you in and making you do some stuff you don't want to do. It's never mind. I'm not going to even bring in Diddy, but you know where I was going with that.
I think I caught on pretty quick.
Hey, real quick though, my little brother once came to pick me up, and his best friend came to pick me up in Nashville to come back home for an Easter dinner, and my brother's best friend was very strictly told by his girlfriend, "You better be home in time for Easter dinner." Long story short, they showed up about a day after Easter, and they're not together anymore. So,
man,
it's just what happens.
That's sometimes things like that happen, right? Give him one of those looks. Boy. All right. And I bet she made him pack his bag like that too. You know what I'm saying?
So. That's a good bag.
All right. Well, whether you're watching football in Nashville or you're watching it in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you always want to get your tickets from Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. You can use the convenient link we have here in the description of this video that'll send you over to their website, theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer. Go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that is Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. So we got a couple questions here in the chat already. We'll probably just go about 40 minutes for this show, guys, so I can get everything packed up. We got a ton of equipment to take with me, so we're going to try to get everything loaded up and ready to go. So, there you go. 2-0 for this afternoon to everyone watching this show that sucks. How's y'all Saturdays? So appreciate you. We had a couple things marked here I want to hit on. Nick McSwain says, Clayton, I heard that the Packers ran in 11 personnel a lot for the Colts game. Is this true? If so, do you see them doing the same for the Titans? So the Packers last year, they ran more 12 personnel than anyone in the league. But with that being said, the majority of their snaps was in 11 personnel. So what they like to do is typically 60, 70%, probably 70% 11 personnel, and then like 28% 12 personnel. And then you might have a couple sets where you got like a 13 look at goal line, things like that, right? So let me pop this up on the screen real quick and give you guys an idea of how it's shaping up this year. So far this season, all right, if you'll notice the rate here, this is the percentage in which a team is in a certain personnel, okay? And you'll notice over here on the left column is your personnel column, all right? And you can find this over at Summer Sports, by the way. So make sure we're on 2024. We are. So the LA Rams, you guys know when Matt LaFleur kind of got hired and everything, and many people were talking about, now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, we're going to finally start running Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I was going, no comprende, El Padre, because they completely botched that, but that's all right. Everybody's like, you can just speak English, bro. Let's don't try anything else. So the thing that I said was Sean McVay, we run Sean McVay's offense. We don't run Kyle Shanahan's offense. And they're from the same tree, same verbiage, all that. But Sean McVay runs a ton of 11 personnel, and Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers likes to lean into 21 a little bit more than we like to run 12, okay? So our base set, 12 personnel, 49ers 21. However, we play a lot more 11 personnel. Here's a good example. The LA Rams so far this year, they have played 11 personnel on offense 98% of the time. That is crazy. Yeah. The closest one is the Cleveland Browns at 85.5%, then the Buccaneers at 85.2%, then the Panthers 81%. The Titans are fifth most 11 personnel this year at 81%. And you'll see Green Bay is sitting in the number 10 spot, all right? 74.6% is how often that the Packers are in 11 personnel through 2 games. Okay, now let's go on down here and see Let's try to load more. I want to see if we can find their second set, which should be 12. Boom. There you see it right there, right? 12 personnel. They're in it 19% of the time. So right now the Packers are really pressing in to 11 personnel, which means one running back, one tight end, obviously equals 3 wide receiver sets. Okay. We're doing that 74% of the time, 10th most in the league. So hopefully that answered your question there, Nick McSwain. I don't think it has anything to do with the Titans. I think that offenses run what they want to run, and they have like LaFleur can get to just about anything in his playbook from any formation set. But what you want to do as a coach, especially at the NFL level, is get your best 11 out there, right? Your best 11 players. And that's really what caused Sean McVay to press into 11 personnel the year they went to the Super Bowl. Not the year they won it, but the first time they went, was because he looked over on the sideline. He said, I looked over there and seen Cooper Kupp sitting on the bench, and I'm going, what the hell am I doing? Because you got to get your best 11 out there. And at that time, his best 11 wasn't in 12 personnel. So when you look at the Packers roster, let me ask you this. Who would you rather have on the field? I don't care what team you're playing. Who would you rather have on the field? Would you rather have, let's say, you got to pick one of these 3 players. I don't care which one it is. You could pick the best one. Romeo Doubs, you got Jaden Reed, and you got Christian Watson, right? You understand that if you take one of those 3 guys off the field, you're basically saying, I want Luke Musgrave on the field more than those guys. I don't think there's any Packer fans that would say that's what I want, right? So it's more about think player, not play. As bad as that bothers me to say that and admit that that's the case, because I'm a big, if you haven't caught on, I'm a scheme geek. That's what I get into, X's and O's. So I will never forget, Jacob, the first person that emailed me and said, hey, Clayton, I wanted to ask you an X's and O's question. I kind of felt like I'm going to keep that off limits on this show because most people don't want to hear it. And when he asked me that question, I messaged Ryan immediately. I was like, oh, boy, they don't know what they just did because this is what I love.
Well,
I'm just trying to give listeners what they want, So
could I pose a question? Because, I forgive me, I can't remember the exact terminology, but if you guys remember last week-ish, I said, man, it seemed really weird to me that Matt LaFleur almost changed the way that the handoff delivery was based when he was doing the Malik Willis, stand-in game. And I thought to myself, like, that doesn't look like a typical quarterback that's filling in. It almost looks like he opened a playbook. Like people talk about, oh, it's a closed playbook for Malik. He literally opened up a new playbook.
You're not allowed to say that, Jake.
Of a complete different scheme of like from the 1940s or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I'm no genius here. You guys know, obviously, Tim and Clay and Amelia are better at reading exactly what the scheme is there. But I noticed it and I said, what the heck is that? Like, and in my, dumb lizard brain, I'm thinking, why don't they let him throw more? Why don't because he just pretty much accepted a whole new playbook for that game and he learned it and he did it really well. Malik Willis, or again, is if we go into Tennessee, and we have maybe quote unquote a limited playbook, I don't think that's the way to read it. I think we have a different playbook that Matt LaFleur, in my opinion, I've said this many times, and I think that it's a fair statement to say that he is top 3 of the best offensive schemers in the league right now, if not the best. I mean, that's just my opinion. But
you hit the nail on the head with Malik. Like the fact that they were able to add those extra wrinkles into the offense, and maybe that was a part of the plan all off season long. And when Malik got here, we just didn't showcase it week 1 against the Eagles. I have a hard time believing that, but he picked it up quick, Jacob. I mean, he did. It was just like, holy cow, man. Because there's some of those plays I haven't seen Jordan Love run, like the 118 pony package and doing the fake handoff, swing around, throw the little swing pass. You've seen the double pump fake or the double swings and the double pump fake swings to the tight end delay. You've seen those type of plays, but that's the first time I had seen fake to the running, get back, turn completely around, and then hit the flat. Pretty neat, man.
John Schmidt, I know he's saying this hopefully in jest, but he goes, it wasn't from the 40s, Jake. It was from Friday night high school games, and that's what it reminded me of, man. We used to run the triple option where I was from, and there was components of that where it was like, what the heck are we doing in our bag right now, dude? This is kind of cool.
Right. No, it's so true, man. It's kind of that old wishbone is what it is, right?
Yeah.
If you go back and watch Curly Lambeau, now he ran the box, the old Notre Dame box offense, which was basically it was like a square in the backfield. And I'm telling you, as soon as the ball snapped, it was circus music. People running everywhere. It was just insane. I love watching some of those old tapes. Let's sort by EPA here and see who's got the highest EPA, expected points added here. This is interesting, man.
Yeah.
So right now, as far as EPA, the Green Bay Packers are 4th out of 01 personnel. Okay, 01 personnel. Now they've only ran 2 plays out of it, but it's been very effective. People are going, "What the heck's 01?" 01 means no running back, 1 tight end. So 4 wide receivers and a tight end is what that is. So that's an empty set with no running backs on the field. Now, you probably have to reach out to Summer Sports and say, "Hey, are you referring to the running back being flexed out as a wide receiver? Now he's just considered a wide receiver?" Because some people do get a little wonky in how they chart that. To me, you would still count that as a running back. I imagine they did, but that could have been there toward the end of the game too in Philly when they went empty. Could have been. So that's really interesting, though. Let's see if they make the list anywhere else outside of So 45th is their 11 personnel. Their EPA is 0.2. Okay, so obviously 01 is their first as far as highest EPA ranking there. That's interesting, man. This is a cool little website. You guys could check it out. Just go to Summer Sports. It's summersports.com, and then you can go look through tendencies. Also, they got defensive tendencies, too. I haven't even checked it out yet.
Do you think it's fair to say Ben Ludwigson is saying we should be in 11? If we are going to be in 11, which I think is probably going to be our strength, you got to have Tucker Kraft as your tight end, right? Right now,
absolutely.
Doesn't that make sense?
And you've seen the snaps, Jacob. Remember, like week 1, Tucker Kraft ran away with the snap count, and then all of a sudden,
Coach.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you on that, Coach Lynn. Got it. Just thinking of ways to get Musgrave on the field, and that's where you gotta you gotta trust yourself scouting, and go, okay, are we having success or not? Green Bay's got a pretty stout offense right now, right? Yeah. Let's don't try to force anything, The beautiful thing about Tucker Kraft being in the game is he can block, as Emilio would say, right? And Musgrave, not so much, right? So what teams are probably going to start doing when they see Musgrave on the field is they're going to treat him like a wide receiver. If I was a defensive coordinator and I was, in my meeting that week, I would let everybody know, just so everyone knows, when 88 goes on the field, we treat it like another wideout. So if he's the only tight end on the field, we're going to play it. We're going to play it like it's dime. We're literally just going to have one linebacker on the field. Now, it's the problem with that is you've really got to bring safeties into the box to cover the gaps, because you're going to have corners and safeties as opposed to that extra linebacker and stopping the run. But Musgrave is just not a good blocker. At least in my opinion, he hasn't been.
John Schmidt has a funny comment here. He says Musgrave is a field stretching mismatch, but Kraft is a complete tight end. I shouldn't say that's funny, but what 2-0 for this said right before that is Musgrave can get on the field for sure, just to bring out water for Tucker Kraft.
Oh, come on now. Let's go easy.
That's a little bit harsh.
What's crazy, too, if you remember back in training camp, they asked Tucker Kraft, not about Luke Musgrave carrying water, but they asked him basically, who do you think's the tight end one? And he said, we don't look at it that way. We've got each other's. Essentially, it was just a very unifying way of answering the question. Mm-hmm. But by that, I think he was well aware that I'm pretty sure I'm the new tight end one. And that's cool, right? Yeah. Coach Lynn says 88 can block, just not as physical as Kraft. We need to look that up. We need to see, because I just got through saying I didn't feel like Musgrave could block. And I'm going to go to PFF and just see what they think about it. It doesn't mean – I'll tell you what we could do. We could go to SIS. Let me hop over to SIS real quick.
Do that. I can hit a comment or two while you're doing that. Mr. Nick McSwain, always good to hear you from you, sir. He says, Clayton, I heard the Packers ran 11 personnel. We already did that, blah, blah, blah. Jarrell says, PTA Clayton, Andy Herman was talking about linebacker core and nickel, said Chiefs won Super Bowl with average linebackers, but bad nickel play and coverage sticks out like a sore thumb. So basically, he's talking about how you can be deficient in certain areas, but can still, pull it all together there. I agree with that. I just, I feel like that right now, our position is that we don't quite know how to use. We talked about it on the earlier episode this morning, that we've got guys in the linebackers position that are really good at certain situational football. We're just maybe not plugging them into the right positions in those situations at the moment. I think that's something Hafley will address pretty soon.
Yeah, and the thing about Kansas City, you're talking about two totally different schemes too. Like you're comparing when you're trying to compare what Green Bay's trying to do schematically with him. Yeah, it's literally apples to bananas there. Like and we don't have Chris Jones. Chris Jones is a huge factor, and we don't have Spagnuolo. Now let's hope that Jeff Hafley can turn into that. But their blitz pressures and their blitz packages and everything, that was what made them go, right? They were very aggressive. Man, if I remember, they played a lot. If I remember correctly, they played a lot of man coverage too. So, all right. So we got the pass blocking ready to go here. Let me pop it over here where I can get it on the screen for you guys and gals. We'll go ahead and drop that down. And thanks for that personnel question, man. That stuff's right down my alley. I love it. Let's see here. Let's go SIS Data Hub. All right. Let's go blown block percentage, right? One of the key statistics. Let's see where our boy Musgrave is. Looky here, Jacob. Looky here. Coach Lynn may be on to something. Luke Musgrave, 25 snaps. These are running plays. 0% blown block percentage.
Wow.
On all plays. So 8% of those snaps he was pass blocking, I'm assuming is what that is. And then 92% of the time he was run blocking. So he hasn't blown a block up to this point.
Look at where Tucker is on that list.
Yeah. And that's what's hilarious, too, is because when you turn on the tape, and that's why it's important to cross-check. When you turn on the tape, Tucker been doing some work. Now, when you get way more snaps, obviously you're talking about Musgrave getting 25 run-blocking snaps and Tucker getting 62. Things are going to get a little different, right? And again, pass blocking is where his highest blown block percentage is. And here's the thing, too. Pass blocking, most of the time, and I don't know how SIS charts this, most of the time when Musgrave is, I'm talking about like 95% of the time when Musgrave is pass blocking, he's doing a little chip and release. He's doing a leak. So how are they grading that out as far as that goes, right? The run blocking is what you really want to key in on with the tight ends, me personally. It's very seldom they'll keep.
It's interesting too there, just seeing where Ben Sims is. Obviously not really any snaps to say, but every time we see Ben Sims, it seems like, hey, there's something there.
He was like that last year too. He never felt like he hindered the offense at all. You know what I'm saying? So let me if you want to hit a couple more comments, if there's any in there, I'm going to go to PFF real quick, and I want to pull up our boy Musgrave's blocking grade to see what we're looking like.
Yeah, for sure. Too old for this says, I like the potential of Musgrave, but he always seems like he's stepping on his own toes. He can be dangerous, but just needs to be more physical. I mean, you guys know that we have an actual drop, whatever you want to call it, basically a live action meme where they celebrate the fact that Musgrave stayed on his feet.
Musgrave stayed on his feet.
Thank you. That was about towards the end of the season where guys were just thankful that he could catch the ball and make some sort of yak, you know? And I think that's maybe where Tucker Kraft seemingly looks so much glaringly better is because one, he's a little flashy. He's Tuck Norris. You know what I mean? He's got that long dart. That's, you know, he's drinking them Bush lattes. He just looks the part of a tight end, but we would just see him catch the ball and run forward. Whereas with Musgrave, for whatever reason, he reaches up, makes a great play, and then he turns into Bambi and doesn't know how to run with his legs. So that is a fair, criticism of him. And yeah, right here, Clay's got the PFF grades for those that are listening on the pod.
Yeah, if you'll drop that comment down for me, I think you can see the bottom here, and it'll kind of show you what he did last year. So in 2023, Musgrave's run blocking grade was 60. That's not horrible. It's not horrible, right? 2024, though, it's dropped to a 51.1 so far. Again, this is according to PFF. I would imagine PFF takes into consideration the leaks and things like that too, right? So they've got him at a 51.1. And then if we were to opt out, I'll just give you a quick reference on our boy Tucker Kraft so you can kind of know where he sits. If I can get it to pull up here. Let's see where his run blocking is. I won't put it on the screen, but I'll just read it for you guys. So his run blocking last year, it's like they flip-flopped. Last year it was 52.4. This year it's 61.2. So they're showing that he's about 10 points higher, according to PFF, than Musgrave right now. I think that feels a little more like what I've seen this year. Now, keep in mind, he's already got 2 penalties this year. Musgrave does. Last year he had 2 the entire year. This year he's already got 2. So that could play a role there as well. And as far as our boy Musgrave, I don't know why the penalties are different on this set. I don't even see the penalties. That's weird. Huh. PFF does things, man. It's like, what are we doing here?
I swear, yeah. Well,
yeah, I don't even see the penalty column. Do you? Oh, here we go. So he hasn't had a penalty yet. So there you go, Jake. There's a perfect example. Musgrave has a 10-point higher run blocking grade, according to PFF, than Luke Musgrave. Or Tucker Kraft has one higher than Luke Musgrave. Tucker Kraft's grade has been brought down tremendously through the penalty. He's got 2 so far this year. Musgrave has no penalties. So without those penalties, I wonder how much higher his run blocking grade would be. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind there. And that could come into play as far as the SIS data as well. I don't know how they chalk that stuff up. So, man, we didn't have this on the bingo card to talk tight end blocking, but here we are. So let's get into the news of the day. It's probably what most people are waiting to hear here if you haven't already. Sean Clifford, according to Tom Silverstein earlier today, Packers elevated quarterback Sean Clifford and cornerback Robert Rochelle from the practice squad to the active roster for game day. It means 3 quarterbacks on the 53 and would make you think Love won't play. Now, this is where I got to push back on Tom, although I picked Tom's tweet because Tom is very, very plugged in with the front office. Okay, now think about what this says right here, guys. How many times have you heard me say Spoon, Tom Silverstein, is kind of the mouthpiece for Brian Gutekunst? You remember me saying that?
Oh, yeah.
So if the team wanted to get a message out, what would that message be? It'd probably make you think Jordan Love won't play here, right? I think Jordan Love's playing. I could be wrong, but I could see this because if you notice the other people that tweeted out about it, and I don't have all those screen grabs, other people were going, regardless, unless you knew for sure Jordan Love was going to play, right, you were going to elevate Sean Clifford anyway because you're going to need that extra backup in case something happens with Jordan. In no way, shape, or form are you going into that game with only 2 quarterbacks, Love being one of them, unless you were 100% sure. So what that means is the only information that would have been valuable information in the elevation status or activation status would be if Sean Clifford did not get called up, then that means Jordan Love's 100% good to go, right? I think this is more precautionary. If Jordan feels good in the morning, I think he'll play. That's just me personally. And again, everyone else pointed that out in their tweets. Tom Silverstein went completely the opposite direction, saying this probably means Jordan ain't going to play. Kind of just made me think, wonder if that was the front office going, hey, let's push that out there real quick. You know what I'm saying? Could be. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. And if Malik Willis plays, it's going to be a much tighter game. It's going to be a much more difficult game to win.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't mind one bit to watch Malik Willis play down there. And I still haven't seen Jordan Love play live yet, so that's a shame. But I think it would be fun to see Malik Willis, see if he can put together a game, 2 games in a row like he did.
Yeah, real quick, Jen Wright says that Andy Herman said Clifford would get elevated either way, just to kind of reiterate what you just said there, Clayton. And, one other thing that we haven't talked about, where was it? I believe it was Coach Len. Yeah, excited for Rochelle. So am I, dude. We talked about how it was real hard to get down to this 53. And one of the biggest surprises, I would argue, for sure, was having that guy even show up, being a practice squad type of guy that'd be hanging around. So obviously they think that he is worth the investment to keep this guy around the facility in any way they can. And he played his butt off. He's played his butt off for the last couple seasons. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's hard to argue with. And obviously we have so much depth right now, especially at the safety position. So obviously I think he'd be more of a special teams ace, right? We're not expecting him to come in, but with maybe was it Valentine that's not going to be playing. It's possible that he may see some snaps at the quarterback position. If that's the case, we went into this season being like, why didn't we draft a cornerback? Why didn't we draft a cornerback? And then all of a sudden we went through the draft and we had so many crazy good safeties. And then we had so many I shouldn't say supposed, but like staples in the secondary as far as guys that we had drafted in other drafts. It's guys like Stokes, it's a first-round draft pick. You have Valentine, who have been kind of thrown into the fire and show that they can play. You have guys like Kalen King that was, nobody was really talking about, but it's a possibility. So I think now, once the dust is settled and we see how the season's, shaping out, it kind of makes sense is the way we did. And I think Rochelle's the type of guy that could sneakily slip in and be a big factor for this team. It probably means that there's some injuries or whatever, or he just has a crazy fluke play. But I'm excited the fact that it's not scary to me that we start looking at third and fourth stringers, which is something I never have said before about the Packers, you know?
Yeah, and Robert Rochelle, if I remember correctly, a really, really good special teams player too, right?
Yes.
So
yep.
That's going to be huge for sure. And again, it also tells us when we looked at the injury report from yesterday, who was the corner? Carrington Valentine. So they got him as doubtful. I'm sure he's not going to go. So that's pretty much all but confirmed now, right? So I wanted to hit this real quick when we were talking about the personnel percentage since it got brought up. The Tennessee Titans play the 5th most 11 personnel. So you're going to see a whole lot of nickel 4-2-5 tomorrow. That's going to be the majority of what's on the field is your nickel defense, unless they change something up dramatically. And then I wanted to go and see what their second most ran offensive formation or personnel was. And I don't even see them here. Where are they at? Whoa. Did I pass them up, Jacob? You see them? I don't see them.
I don't see them.
Oh, more, shall we? There we go. So 12 personnel. So they're in 12 personnel 10% of the time. So you're going to see 2 tight end sets from Tennessee when they're deciding to go away from 11 personnel. But the large majority of the day, you're going to be in nickel for sure. So, which it's par for the course. It goes without saying. That's how it is across the NFL. That's why I get frustrated when people talk Sam backer and this and that, as if you're in your base defense a good chunk of the time. It's just really not the case. So, like if you go to the 32nd team, 22 personnel 40% of the time right there is Atlanta, right? And so they stay in 22 personnel the majority of the time. And then they probably, they're in 12 personnel 40% of the time. That's wild right there. So Atlanta doing things way different from everyone else. I was trying to see if maybe they had another number here for 11. Where's their 11 at? Do they
right there? It was up there, what, 80? Is that it?
It's 21 personnel.
Oh, that's 21, yeah. Never mind.
Still haven't seen 11. Let's see if
that's crazy. Oh, right there, right?
That's 22.
That's
we had to have overlooked it, right? Surely they run 11 personnel. Surely they do.
You got to.
Oh man.
Right there, 25.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. Whew, okay. I was like, what is going on? So yeah, they run at 25th most in the league at 52.7%. But still, that's a very low number for sure. Look at Kansas City, man. Kansas City. What does that say, Jacob? 11 personnel, right? Am I looking at this correct? Yes. So Kansas City is in 11 personnel 45% of the time. So what do they press into the most? Where are they at? So they're really, really widespread. Again, I didn't plan on talking about this, but I'm glad we're hitting on it. 13 personnel. Wow, 13% of the time. That's interesting. 1 running back, 3 tight ends. I know they ran it more than just about anyone last year, but that is really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I can't remember what their 2 backup tight ends are because it was somebody told me in a dynasty league that I'm in for fantasy, they're like, draft this guy. And I was like, why? They got Travis Kelce. And they're like, no, but what happens when he's gone in 2 years? And I was like, yeah, all right. So then, and they use him now. They actually use him. And it's kind of like how with Baltimore, people said, you got Mark Andrews, and then Isaiah Likely comes out and he has the best freaking day that a tight end's had in a long time. I mean, you don't quite know because NFL's offenses, they have to adapt. They have to adjust. And a lot of it, like we've talked about, is I don't want to say they're getting away from 11, but if you can pound it with 22, with 12, with 13, I mean, that's different. Yeah. It's different. It's hard for defenses to match up against those.
And think about it with Kelce too. He's a wide receiver. He's not a tight end.
Right.
Like they treat him like a flexed out wide receiver.
Great.
So it's really 12
right
personnel.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that. Look at Pittsburgh, though. 27.9% of the time they're in 13 personnel. That's what happens with Justin Fields as your quarterbacks. So, it's interesting. All right, so there you go. That's enough Tennessee talk. Let's move on to some Packers-Titans talk real quick. You just keep an eye on the chat, Jacob, if something comes through, especially the super chats. We want to make sure we don't skip over those. So I wanted to hit this real quick as we get into tomorrow's game. We're going to go back to week 1 and just look at a few tendencies. This is according to Next Gen Stats, and just kind of show everybody, okay, how that shook out. Will Levis 38.9 yards in the air was his longest pass that he threw in week 1. Tony Pollard was the fastest ball carrier at 19 miles an hour. And then Harold Landry had the fastest sack at 4.4 seconds to the sack. Now let's look at the passing chart. Remember what we talked about. Look at Will Levis. He really loves to feather it in along the right. Okay. Now he threw more to the left than he did in week 1 than he did week 2, but still you see where he really likes to throw the football is on the right side. He was 19 of 32 for 127, 1 touchdown, and 2 stanky picks. Just take a second and just admire this over here, though.
I was going to say, dude, I didn't want to bring it up unless you did, but not good.
That's not too good out there for the number 1 overall pick. All right, rushing. This is what we were talking about. Remember we talking about you got to really focus on them running the ball to the left side. It doesn't mean their tendencies say they run over there more than the right. It's just that's where they're having their success. There's got to be a reason for that. So keep in mind, wide left in week 1, Tony Pollard, 3 attempts, 47 yards, and a touchdown. Inside left, 4 attempts for 7 yards. Inside right, 4 attempts, 21 yards. Outside right, 5 attempts, 7 yards. Okay, if you go to Tajay Spears, which I don't even know if he's going to play. What was the final injury report on him?
I think he's questionable, yeah.
So we won't spend a whole lot of time thinking about him, okay? As far as their wide receivers, their tight end, Nick Vanette, seemed to get the majority of the success there as far as Will Levis on the football. I think it was more about, what is that, EPA, league average? Separation, I'm sorry. So in separation, they're scheming Nick Vanette open. Obviously, it wasn't for a whole lot, just 2 targets, 2 catches for 11 yards. So, yeah.
Did Denard Hopkins get injured, or is he just a non-factor?
I guess he's a non-factor, man. I don't know. You darn sure don't see him on here, right? Because leading in separation, obviously, is Boyd. And then you've got Traylon Burks at 2.28. Well, you've got Calvin Ridley at 2.34. I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't worry too much about these wide receivers. You got to stop this run. That's the main focus.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know that I listened to Ryan's podcast this morning, and I can't remember if it was his current one or if it was one that I was catching up on. But he basically said, like, don't sleep on Calvin Ridley. Basically, where he makes his money is getting downfield quick. So that's like that deep ball with Levis is just willing to just let it go kind of thing. He's going to probably be looking for Ridley type stuff. But I never want to get too confident. So that's something that I definitely want to do. But that to me right there looks like a Jeff Hafley's wet dream. Like it just looks like what he wants to do. I'll just, I'm just saying.
Jarrell Lee with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says 11 personnel might see more Edgerrin Cooper, Jeff Hafley. It's a good point. In training camp, I remember when they would go to nickel, he was the starting backer next to Quay in the nickel, the 4-2-5, right? So 11 personnel would trigger that. Obviously, he gets hurt, kind of falls behind a little bit coming out of camp. But when they would go to their base defense in camp, Edgerrin Cooper was on the sideline. So I think, Jarrell, you're onto something there, man, for sure. Hopefully, we do see a little more. I'd like to see his snap count get up to like 15, 20 to see if
at least.
Yeah.
Can we knock out a few chats that I know are getting kind of piled up?
Yeah, I did want to point out, though, did you notice this separation chart here? Like, is it just me, or does that not look too bad for these receivers in Chicago? It sounds like their quarterback just sucks. Maybe it's me. But go ahead, Jake.
Gosh, that's weird. It's almost like nobody thought, I didn't think that'd be.
Remember me getting roasted in a chat, too?
I do.
Just saying. Go ahead.
We all got roasted a little bit at the beginning of the season, but how time will tell. So Turtle says Stokes got to step up this week with no Valentine. I agree with that completely. He's been Stokes right. He hasn't had that many snap counts, which has been a little bit suspect, or just
at least that last game. Week 1, I thought he played pretty good, to be honest with you, but I don't think he got targeted much either, though. So.
Good point. We'll go to Omer, who says, I think Quay very good in coverage. He just cheats to the pass and often moving backwards instead of forwards on run plays, as Mike Wall illustrated with video this week. And I completely agree with that.
Great observation.
I've seen too many videos of him. Yeah, looking really, really great in the pass game, but he's and what do we talk about, Clay? It's a passing league now. Right. So if you had to have one, if you pick one, pick your poison.
Yeah, I'm definitely saying let's stop the explosives through the air. That's just me personally. But
Right.
again, you say that until a team's running for 200 on you, and then you're pissed off throwing stuff across the room. So.
Yep. Omer real quick says Sims is very solid. I agree with that completely. Again, coming in saying Musgrave had a great first half last season, but he had a very quiet camp and has done little with his opportunity in the first 2 weeks. I again kind of agree with that. Hopefully he snaps out of it a little bit, but as of this point, I think we can all pretty much be in unison saying that at this point, Tucker Kraft's the guy I want out there. If I have to have a tight end, it's got to be, to me, it's Tuck Norris. I don't know. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think so, man. I don't think so at all.
And we actually dove into those, analytics, and it shows that he's not as bad as we think maybe we're saying. So there's a fairness, I think, if people want to push back on that a little bit. But right now, it's just the eye and touch, like the sense of like what I actually see with my own perception. I'm still right now. I'm Tuck Norris, baby. Tuck Norris. John Schmidt says Clifford could be the emergency third down quarterback under the new rule where he's not counted against the active 48 now that he's been elevated. Him if 10 can go. I think that's true, right?
Clifford could be the person on the new rule. I thought they did away with that rule, John. I could be wrong.
I was going to say, I thought that was just a limited thing, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think that I want to say that they voted it in last year, and then this year they voted it out. But I could be wrong. Could be wrong there. So,
okay. Coach Len comes in saying, I'd love for us to go more 13. Want to see more Sims also. I mean, I think we have the personnel to do it. What do you think, Clay?
Yeah, but man, look who you're taking off the field, That's right. The thing that sucks. When you say I want 13, you're saying no Jaden Reed or no Romeo Dobbs, right? Now, if you're saying 13, let's put Jaden Reed out there with 3 tight ends and try to get that feels a little better, right? But if it's Romeo Dobbs is out there and 3 tight ends, I just think there's some missed opportunities there. I really do. Maybe I'm too aggressive in that regard, but I'll tell you this: the Kansas City Chiefs had a lot of success with the last couple of years. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'll never forget Greg Cosell talking about that. He said they come out in 13 personnel, 12 heavy and 13 heavy, and teams have to respect the fact that they can run out of it. He said, but they're not committed to the run. It's all window dressing. And they come out and run the same passing concepts and cut people up. So it's interesting.
Badger Trio says, I smell the Packers' first pick 6 coming tomorrow.
Right in the corner of the end zone where we're at. Come on.
I was going to say, man, Badger Trio, tell us who it will be. For some reason, I think that Xavier gets his 3rd pick in 3 games, and he somehow is going to return that thing looking like Nick Collins returned it in the
oh man, cutting in and out of traffic.
Just cutting in and out. 12 for this says, does X go through? There we go. 3 for 3 on his first drive.
Dude, I didn't even realize that 2-0 for this. I mean, I knew it was the case, but it never really dawned on me.
Wow, that is crazy.
Interceptions were on the opening drives, Jake. That's wild.
That shows a guy
it's almost like the quarterback gets past that first. I ain't throwing his way. No.
Well, and it's exactly the type of player that we hoped our safeties would be, where it's like, yeah, go ahead, try it right away. I'm literally going to set the tone of the game immediately. For if you want to try to take a shot, just know that, hey, I'm real good at being sticky, and I'm just going to go over that way and just pick it off. And good luck with that, Willie. Hope you have fun.
Good luck.
Good luck.
All right, we're all caught up, ain't we?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Good stuff. All right, let's talk about week 2. This was the Titans and the Jets. Okay, Will Levis air yards on his longest pass, 51.6 yards. So he broke out the old cannon. I told you, the dude's got a cannon. He's got very strong arm. He's got quick release too. It's just he's been making some boneheaded decisions here lately. Calvin Ridley was their fastest ball carrier at 20.9 mile per hour. So dude's got wheels. He can run. And then Harold Landry, again, this time from 4.4 seconds to 4.2 seconds on the quickest sack. Now, look at the throw chart again, week 2, Jacob. All on the right side, right? You see he's really trying to focus on the right. That's what we were talking about in the scouting report. He was 19 of 28, he being Will Levis, 192 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Going back to the run chart, once again, they like to throw right and run left, right? Look at this. Average 6 yards a carry outside left, 6 yards a carry inside left. Let's cheat a half a gap to that left side and try to get pressure from the right side on Will Levis and make sure we're focused on him escaping the pocket, whether it be inside or outside of the tackle on the left side. So you want to kind of go in teaching that tendency to your defense, in my opinion. So hopefully that makes sense there. Now you see the separation. Their boy Chig Okawanko, I hope I'm saying that right. 3 targets, 3 catches, only 16 yards though, but separation, I think that's separation, 5.84 yards of separation. What does that tell you, Jacob? Look, here's another tight end with 5 yards of separation. They are scheming open the tight ends. So even though they're in 11 personnel the majority of the time, I have a hard time believing they don't pass a lot out of 12 personnel with the way some of these numbers are. So,
actually, I was listening to Ryan's podcast earlier, and again, I can't remember exactly which one it was within the last 2 or 3 days. And he talked about Chig and how, and by the way, he can pronounce that name perfectly. I don't know how he did it. I don't know what he did. But the first name is even worse. It's Chikakonwe Okonkwo or something like that. Anyways,
be cussing on the pod, Jake. You just can't.
He's apparently like bottom 4 in the league with yak. Like once the guy gets the ball in his hands, he's done. You can get him down. But he is one of the best pass catchers of tight ends. So it's one of those guys where it's like, if he's past the sticks and you need a 3rd down conversion, that's where you go to Chig. And the other one there is kind of the same situation where it seems like a lot of Will Levis is checking down, or he's not letting his arm really, do what you've talked. He's got a big arm. He can do it. He can run, but I also think he's a new quarterback as well. He's probably looking to his check downs, his smaller routes, his immediate routes kind of thing. And that's one of those things where it's, if we can just knock that out, I think that helps tremendously. And then another one that like you're just pulling down here was the other one that Ryan highlighted was Harold Landry. Those are basically the 2 guys. If you mitigate both those, that's kind of all they're doing right now on both sides of the ball, which is crazy. Yeah. So I'm not afraid of the Titans, but I know their possibility and if they hit their ceiling, we could definitely have ourselves a ball game. But if they're playing just regular floor type ball, I think the Packers run away with this one. I really do.
Definitely. And for those of you listening on the pod, that's the end of hour 1. We will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all. All right. Let's move on to the PFF preview. That good with you, Jake?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. We've been talking about hitting this for a while now. Let's go ahead and pop it up on the screen, full screen here, and give you guys an idea of how PFF is seeing this. I like to go a little – there we go. That's what I'm comfortable with right there. Hopefully you can see that okay, right, Jacob?
That'll work, yeah.
All right, cool. Are they really calling for light rain? How did I miss this? What is this, sorcerer? Let me go to the Weather Channel real quick. I thought for sure it was going to be fairly clear. Let's see, though, Jacob. Tomorrow.
From what I remember living in Nashville is the weather will change on you real quick. You're in that weird dust bowl. Yeah.
So they're calling for 91 degrees, so it's dropped 4 degrees now. Nice. They're saying a little less humidity, sunshine and clouds mixed. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. So only a 20% chance, it looks like. If we go to the hourly here, people are like, I did not know I tuned in to the Weather Channel. Well, that's what you get on this show, all right? Congratulations. So kick off 1 o'clock. Yeah, 21% chance, and it drops down to 15%. Looks like during game time, probably not going to get above 90 degrees, what it sounds like. So there you go. I just seen that light rain up there and was like, what is that about? So, all right, here is the team metrics, okay? And let me just go ahead and jot this down real quick.
Show off this real quick. Rain is good. It'll wash the vomit off the ball. Thank you very much. Show off this.
Like the way you think. All right, so team metrics. Here we go. Summary. The Packers are this is according to PFF, the 12th best team in the league, power ranking overall. The Titans are 31st. Power ranking on defense, the Packers are 18th. The Titans are 23rd. But Jeffrey Simmons said, right? So power ranking on offense, they've got the Packers at 31st because they're assuming that Malik Willis is going to play. Okay, I don't like how they do that, but it is what it is. They've got the Titans 32nd, so should be a stinker. Might want to look at taking the under there now that we look at that metric. The under is set at – over-under set at 37.5 currently, okay? So strength of schedule played so far, the Packers are 21st in strength of schedule. The Titans are 18th. Average offensive snaps, Packers are averaging 69 offensive snaps. The Titans are averaging 66.5. Percentage of run plays, the Packers are running the ball 53% of the time. Titans are only running it 40% of the time. Percentage of pass plays, obviously the opposite of that. 46% for the Packers, 59% for the Titans. EPA per run for the Packers, minus 0.04, and the Titans are minus 0.11. So the Packers have the edge there. EPA per pass, the Packers are a positive 0.22, and the Titans are negative 0.25. So everything there on the team metrics, Jacob, suggests the Packers do have the advantage there. So here's what's crazy, too. Quarterback comparison, even with Malik Willis.
Just
Malik
real
Willis,
quick, is it hard for you to sometimes understand, or I guess it's easy for you to understand how people sometimes are like, I don't understand these PFF grades. When you look at that sort of team matchup and somehow the Titans are favored. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like, how are we looking at the same data and coming out with that conclusion?
Because it's played in Nashville. And I'm telling you, man, it's for as long as I've been keeping up with gambling in football, the home team gets 3 points. That's the way
That's
it works.
what it is.
Yeah, it just seems like it's always like that. Now, the PFF line, you'll notice it's typically a little bit different. Look at the PFF line right here. Currently, it's at Tennessee minus 1.7. The market has Tennessee at minus 2.5. So you see
That's
the
fair.
PFF is leaning towards Green Bay a little bit more. So if traditionally you're getting 3 points as the home team, kind of shows you the Packers are the better team here, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does.
the market shifting around, it did get to the point where the market was Tennessee minus 1.5. That's when Jordan Love first practiced, and then that's kind of came back down to earth as some people believe he's not going to play. So we'll see tomorrow. Quarterback matchup, if it is Malik Willis, his PFF grade 66.8. Jacob, man, you can't ask for much more than that, bro. That's just wild. Will Levis, though, 46.9. Passer rating when clean. Will Levis with a clean pocket, 121.2. Will Levis with a clean pocket, nobody in his face, 80.3. Passer rating under pressure, Malik Willis, 109.7. Will Levis, 44.9. Yeah. Big time throw percentage, Malik Willis has had 0, so there's that. Will Levis, 2.6% big time throw percentage. Turnover worthy plays, Malik Willis has had 0, and Will Levis is giving you a turnover worthy play 2.6% of the time.
Is it weird?
Go ahead.
To me, a no turnover worthy, like a 0%. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought that pass that he made to Wicks for the touchdown was an amazing pass, but you can't tell me that wasn't at least a little bit of a turnover worthy play. If that DB breaks just a half a second quicker, that's a turnover.
I don't think they count it as it was almost, though. It either is or isn't. The reality is he put that ball on a perfect line. The DB jumped the route, and it still wasn't good enough. That I can't give him a negative for that, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Dude, it was perfect placement too. I mean, and he read the defense perfect too. He knew exactly what they were in. I'm pretty sure it was man coverage, is what it kind of felt like.
Yeah, that's what I saw. You know what? It's funny is because that was the same throw that Rodgers completed to Garrett, almost identical. You know what I mean? Rolling out, hitting him, just throwing the ball in the absolute only spot that the wide receiver can get. Turn up field, score, give the ball to a kid in number 23.
Yeah. So again, back to the betting odds. The currently it's showing the Titans are sitting as 3-point favorites. The value there has no bars filled up though, right? Money line, Green Bay plus 131 on the money line. I think that's I would take the points. If it's currently, the market is currently sitting at 3 points, I would take Green Bay plus 3. I feel pretty good about that personally. I would try to tease it to 3.5 and take a little off the profit there to protect yourself. But I would try to tease it to 3.5 personally. And again, over under is set at the over at 37.5 at a minus 110 as far as odds there. So you'll notice the Titans over here are 3-point favorites, or at least they were when it opened up, and that might be what that represents. Notice here, Jacob, Vikings are one of the hottest teams in the league after beating the 49ers, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're 3-point underdogs to Green Bay. Why? Because it's going to be at Lambeau Field.
Yep, good point.
So,
yeah.
and the early over under or total there is set at 43. Let's go to the green line real quick and see if there's anything we need to see here. Let's see where the money's going. All right. So with the spread, Green Bay catching 3 points, and obviously Titans laying 3. PFF has it at a plus 1.7 for the Packers. So you see they've got it 2.3 off the market number there. Cover probability at 49% for the Packers, 50% for the Titans. Break even 52.4 to 52.4, pretty even there. It'll be a close game, I think, man. The value pretty much 0.6% off there. It doesn't show where the cash and the tickets are. That's what I came here for. That's interesting that they don't have that information. They'll usually show you who the public is on. So,
do you think again that's because like I said, I've lived in Nashville. They don't sell out until, if they do, it's like last minute. You get people that are in there on town buying tickets and scalping. And I just, again, it's not like it's a home game, but it's not a real away game where you have a crazy crowd that you're going against. You're going against a bunch of people just having fun, which is interesting.
Definitely. So here is some of your best bets according to PFF. Interesting to look at these. Malik Willis under 30.5 completions. Boy, I would hammer that. Me personally, I would hammer that. And you see it's got the edge at 3.3. Sometimes the 3 bars filled up on this PFF edge is a little bit, it gives you a little too much confidence in that bet. I personally like to go 15% or higher. And you see that under 30.5 is at 19.9 there. Another one, Calvin Ridley, under 3.5 receptions is at 14.6. So I wouldn't touch that. Tony Pollard, under 2.5 receptions at 23.8%. That seems like, according to PFF's data, pretty good little touch there. Tajay Spears, obviously, may not even play, right? Under 1.5 receptions at 19%. Here's another one. Boyd, is it Tyler Boyd, I believe? That is? Yeah. Tyler Boyd is under 2.5 receptions at 23.2% edge rate there for PFF. And another 3 bar just worth mentioning is under a half of a touchdown for Will Levis there. It's only 13. I wouldn't touch it. So there's some of your best bets. Now we'll get into the lineup match. Anything you want to add to that, man?
No, I mean, that's wow. Am I reading that right? Wilson? You guys see Wilson on this page now?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Sorry, no, that just popped out in my face.
I hope he starts. Of course, that's just base. That's base. So watch when you go nickel. Wah, wah. I'm telling you, man, give him a chance. It's just like Edgerrin Cooper. Like, what do you got to lose, right? McDuffie's a 46.6 PFF grade right now. What do you got to lose putting Eric Wilson out there for the large majority of the snaps? He can't do no worse in PFF size, right? So I think you got to give Eric Wilson a shot here. But for those of you who can't see the screen, we're in 11 personnel, which is what the Titans like to run a lot, and we're in our nickel 4-2-5 for the Packers, okay, which will be what we match here. So let's start with the offensive line. On the left, you got Latham at a 68.4 at left tackle. You got Skoronski, left guard, at 55.4. Cushenberry, 62.8 at center. Raduns, 68.8 at right guard. And then poor old Petit Frere, however you say his name, 53.0. Now, when you look at our defensive line, listen, it's not been a good start according to PFF. Preston Smith, 63.4. Devontae Wyatt, 56.2. Kenny Clark, 39.8. And then Rashawn Gary, 51.9. As far as sacks on the year so far, Devontae Wyatt has a sack and Rashawn Gary has a sack. So keep that in mind. And again, this right here is your matchup, Jacob. Rashawn Gary against their right tackle. I mean, that's
Nicholas Petit Fier, and he's going down.
Fier. All right, I got you. So, I mean, the dude, it's been cheeks. Pass block grade 48.5. He's a big old boy, too, 6'5", 316, third-round pick. Not sure who's coaching him up, but you really like that matchup there. Let's talk now. Let's talk their tight end, Okonkwo, I think is how you say it. 2022, his PFF grade was a 75.4. Last year, it was a 62.1. 2 games in this year, he's dropped to a 51.6. His run blocking grade is absolute booty cheeks. Remember, we talked about they're having success running to the left? Might be the issue right here. Your right tackle and your tight end can't block them way out of a paper bag. And look at their left tackle. right? Look at the run block grade. It matches up, right? 75.3 run block grade for J.C. Latham out of Alabama. So if we got to really focus on the running game on the left side, we really got to key in on that. But tight end wise, like I said, Okonkwo, a 51.6, nothing crazy to worry about there. And at our linebacker position, obviously you got Quay Walker at a 48.3. You got McDuffie at a 46.6. Like Jacob said, if we switch the base, look at Wilson. Jesus. I know it's a small amount of snaps, and it's definitely an outlier when you look at his career, right? 60, 62, 66, 53, 39, 56, 56, and all of a sudden, bang, 95. He had a good game. But still, why not give him a shot, right? March him out there. But at least get him a few extra snaps anyway. So
20 snaps. Can I get the guy 20 snaps?
Just 20. You know? Can we get 20?
Can I put a 20 on it?
20 twin. All right. So some of y'all got that one and probably unsubbed to the channel. So let's move on to wide receivers. You got DeAndre Hopkins. They've got him listed at 58.7. You got Boyd in the slot at 61.2. And then their best receiver, Calvin Ridley, is sitting at a 67.2. All right. Cornerback wise, our highest graded corner right now is Eric Stokes at a 69.3. Jair Alexander 61.2, and then Keyshawn Nixon in the slot sitting at a 59.3 currently.
Real quick, so Jair is technically not a starting cornerback, right? Based on that grade right there,
based according to PFF, that's correct. Now people will go, that's just PFF. I got you. I hear what you're saying. Now go do the passer rating when targeted. And then the argument shifts to, but he has to cover number one receivers. Okay, how many damn excuses are we going to make? Like, I want the dude to pan out too, but you got to call a spade a spade. Like, passer rating when targeted is horrible. His missed tackle percentage is horrible. PFF says he's bad. I don't know what else is left other than he's got a good Madden rating. Like, I don't know what else to do. You know, it is what it is. So, it kind of feels like Kenny Clark the last couple of years. When you would mention Kenny was maybe a little bit overrated, you get kind of raked over the coals for it. And now people are really coming to the realization like, okay, maybe Kenny isn't as good as we think. I hope he blows up tomorrow. And again, it may take another week because this pass rush, you don't want Will Levis running all over you. You want to try to make him win the game from within the pocket. So.
And honestly, I get like too old for this. I rarely disagree with anything he says. He says the decline of D-Hop needs to be studied. D-Hop's old. He got old. He's a wide receiver that got old. That's exactly what happens when they get old. To me, the decline of Jair needs to be studied. Like that, to me, the decline of Kenny needs to be studied. The decline, you could argue, of Rashawn needs to be studied. Like I just, guys that are still young in their prime that have fallen off, that's to me, DeAndre Hopkins, that's a specimen right there. I mean,
he's 32 years old. You're right, Jake. 32, man. That's grandpa at wide receiver, bro. You know?
Right.
And again, when you look at his best years were 2015 at a 90.6, then he drops to 77.8, then he's back up to a 90.2, back up to a 92, then it's 87.8, 87.1, 79.8, 72.9. Last year he rebounds at an 81, and this year early on a 58.7. So,
and he's got Will Levis as his quarterback.
Right.
There's that.
Not ideal the way he's playing ball. So speaking of Will Levis, 46.9 is the PFF grade. Amongst the 33 starting quarterbacks, he's 29th. So it's hard to believe there's other people that are worse than him. Last year, 63.7. I thought he played well last year. Me personally, I was like, okay, he's showing some promise. Man, he has taken a major step back this year. And again, it's early, and we hope this isn't the game that he has to come an out party. But the big thing you want to key in on, Jacob, imagine what his overall grade will be without that 70.1 rushing grade.
Right. That's what
his passing grade is a 42.1. That's absolutely. I had a Titans fan in the comments earlier today on YouTube going, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Will Levis has got a can. He's got a grade on. I'm going, bro, you are not watching the same football games we've watched. He may have a great game, but if you've convinced yourself he's having a good season, I want to say I'm too drunk to taste that chicken. I might want to try that chicken actually, because that must be some good chicken. If you believe he's playing good at the good quarterback this season, man, because I'm telling you, it's been cheeks so far. So there you go with Will Levis, and then of course Tony Pollard. To me, he's one of the players that I picked as a Tuesday player. If you can really key in on stopping him, I don't think this Titans offense can do much. You know, you got to focus on stopping Tony Pollard. he was a good back when he was in Dallas. Obviously, he was behind Zeke there for a couple of years, but his overall grades career-wise, 82.9, 71.7, 86, 90.2 in 2022, 77.5 last year, and he's still at a 71.8 so far through 2 games this year. His running grade is a 70, his receiving grade a 67.1. That's the guy you got to stop, Jacob. That dude right there, Tony Pollard. Stop Pollard and Ridley. They got nothing else. It's a good point. And I think I'm okay with giving I don't think we should blitz Will Levis. I don't want to see 6 pass rushers. I want him to have to read that secondary with 7 guys back there. At a minimum, 6 guys back there, right, in coverage. That's what I want him to do. If we start firing blitzes and he knows, okay, this is man coverage across the board, and we kind of give him the answers to the test pre-snap, that's going to bother me a little bit. So again, Tony Pollard, to me, that's their main thing. Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, and I mentioned Chig. Like you said, the yak is in the basement, so probably not much to worry about there. They definitely are scheming open the tight ends because of the amount of separation they're getting. That may be teams biting on the play action because they know they got to stop Tony Pollard. They win the game. You know?
Does it seem like the Titans are the stereotypical team of like, we can win this year type of stuff? Like they get a seemingly best wide receiver in Hopkins. They get a guy like Boyd, who they signed, who was the number 3 in Cincinnati for a long, long time. They get Calvin Ridley, who was a quote-unquote threat in Jacksonville for a while. They try to piece these all together. They get Pollard. They get a guy like Chig, who they've had for a couple of years now, but it just seems like they were trying to piece together something to make it work, and it just doesn't. Like they didn't have any continuity there. There was no, in my opinion, there was no like really in-depth scouting as to how these guys are going to actually work together. To me, it just seems like this is the stereotypical. We talk about how we are glad we don't have a GM, and we don't quite. We have Goody, but we don't have an owner, I should say. And the owner seems like he's the type of guy that'd be like, make these moves, moves, and that just seems like an owner move right there. And then when you look at it, the coaches just look at each other like, what did we get here?
Right.
We got a bunch of ingredients that turns out to a poop cake. Like, what do I do?
Exactly. All right, let's switch it over to the Packers offensive side of the ball and the Titans nickel defense. So we're going 11 personnel. We talked about that's the majority of what we're going to see tomorrow from the Packers. Let's start with the offensive line. Rasheed Walker, 64.0. Elton Jenkins, 80.4. Let's go. Josh Myers, same old, 54.4. Sean Ryan, 61.0. Listen, it's bad, but at least it's not 54.4. Zach Tom, 77.0. So essentially what you've got is the tackle position. We talked about their best pass rusher is Landry right here, right? And you see his pass rush grade is actually, according to PFF, isn't that great, but through everything next-gen stats, that seems to be the greatest threat for getting to the quarterback. His pass rush grade is only a 58.8. That gives me a little bit better feeling there from the second-round pick. So Zach Tom matched up on Landry will be huge. Rasheed Walker is going to be fine over there. Their interior, again, Jeffrey Simmons seems to be their best player. Now you see 2020, 83.3.
That's a guy that's fallen off.
Yeah, it looks like it does. It really does. And it's kind of, before it fell off too, Jacob, it's kind of up and down, up and down. Now, again, I know y'all get tired of hearing me say it, but you got to mention the 59.6 is only 2 games, right? We got to mention that he could very well go back to that 80 in no time with it being early in the season. But, last year, 68.4. I mean, he was the 36th highest graded defensive tackle, or defensive lineman, I should say. So he was borderline starter. It's just I don't know. I don't think that guy has earned the right to stand up there and
I was going to say the bona fides. He doesn't have the right to be talking as if he's Aaron Donald, and he's talking like he's Aaron Donald. And that guy, I think that if anything, he may have just hindered his team completely, because you're about to get the best, in my opinion. If you start poking fun at like they can't do this, they can't do that, then watch Sean Ryan and Josh Myers come out and have the best games of their lives just because they want to make you wrong. I will say right next to him though is a guy that I liked a lot in the draft was TJ Slayton was
Tavondre
Tavondre Sweat. Yeah. I mean, he's a big beast of a man.
Hey, he's starting off pretty decent, Jacob.
It's kind of crazy that his best grade is a pass rush grade.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a giant man who people thought could be a legitimate top 10, top 20 pick who fell because he had some some stuff going on there. So
the weight issue,
the weight issue.
They got him listed at 362. Yeah, hey, listen, Hattie B's right across that river, Jacob. You got to be careful. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I know.
It got you too, huh?
Yep, yeah, it did.
All right, so offensive line wise, that's how the Packers stack up. Their defensive front, Key at right outside linebacker or right edge, we should say 58.1. Jeffrey Simmons 59.6. Tavondre Sweat, like Jacob said, 64.1, and then Landry at a 66.1. I like our matchup on the offensive line. Nothing there really worries me at all. I'm trying to think, like we keep looking at it. How do we stop the Titans? How do we stop the Titans? And I'm trying to think, what do they have the advantage in, Jacob? Like what if you were to look at these two teams and we hit the next gen stats stuff, all the insights, we're talking PFF now. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think, they got us there? What is it? I'm having a hard time finding.
I can't think. I would honestly say interior defensive line, just because if they really do, if Simmons and Sweat are that good or seemingly that good, and they can take advantage of maybe Myers and Ryan, or because Morgan's not playing, right? That's what's been ruled out, I believe.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I really do think, here, Coach Lynn usually is a man that's much smarter than I am. He says Sweat and Simmons is a problem for sure.
That seems to be the only, that's the spot right now. Keep in mind too, at the stack backer position, you got Ernest Jones. Last year, 78.8. This year, he seems to be on pace again, 76.0. He's only 24 years old, former third-round pick out of South Carolina. Pass rush grade, 74.2. Run defense grade, 61.8. Coverage grade, 76.3. So
that's nice.
That might help take the middle of the field away. I just had a flashback from Anzalone in Detroit, with the interceptions last year. It's like, all right, we don't want to get into that, So be careful on the blind play action, which if Malik Willis is your starting quarterback, I don't think you're going to be playing with that too much, really.
And what's crazy is we get obsessed with our linebacker size and weight. Look at him. He's 6'2", he's 230.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's right in there with the quote unquote, he's an unsized guy or whatever, but nah, not really. Kenneth Murray, yeah. Wow.
Their other backer, good pass rush grade. Other than that, his run defense grade, 28.6. Let's try to run on these cats, Jacob. You know what I mean? Let's try to establish the run. Use that bulletin board material that Jeffrey Simmons gave you, and let's try to pound the rock here a little bit.
I'm starting to become a believer that Josh Jacobs is that guy who just don't give no darn. He's going to run, and if you give him 30 plus, I can't remember the last time that a Green Bay running back got over 30 carries, and that each time that he kept getting the rock, it's like he's getting better, and now it's like I feel like Josh Jacobs is that type of person.
And immediately after the game, they asked him, how do you feel? That's a big workload. He said, I feel good. Now the next day, he had a sore back.
Yeah,
I've been there. I was actually there this morning, believe it or not. But yeah, to me, man, the stuff he did last week, bouncing it out, and I mean, I'm excited about Josh Jacobs. We just got to protect him. I know he's going to be. You sign him to be that bell cow, but if you go to running him 30 times a game every week, he is going to get beat up. But his PFF grade currently sitting at 73.3, 12th highest grade in that regard. We talked about the improbable rushes and things like that through next gen stats that would lead you to believe he's a legit top 3 running back. So again, that's why it's important to look at PFF and look at some of those other key statistics.
Mr. John Schmidt in the chat says, I think the last running back with 30 carries per game was Amon Green. Now, chat, let's go check this out, because if that's true, dude, that's legit. Sure that's a big scheme change, right? I mean, Amon Green, I was still in my whitey tighties as a young man. I was a young buck there.
Young lad. Young lad. All right, so there is just a little look at the running backs and the linebackers. Again, don't be afraid to attack Kenneth Murray's side of the field. And if they are interchangeable and they try to keep him on, that's the beautiful thing about a wide zone weak run scheme like LaFleur liked to do a lot last year, if they start to key in on the weak side, now you've got the hat count on the strong side of the formation. And what I mean by that is if they're watching tape and they pick up on Green Bay's tendency is to run outside zone weak, then they'll go, okay, we're just going to put Jones over there. We're going to pop our best linebacker in on the weak side for this game. And then in obvious passing situations, we'll make sure he's covering the seam, right? When you do that, now Green Bay can counter and go strong side. So guess what happens now? Now you've got the hat count because they thought you were going to zig and you zag. You got the hat count and you got the worst linebacker on that side of the field. So,
really, Ryan? Really?
Ryan Schlip, you still
really?
wear whitey tighty. Stop it.
Come on, it.
Got the Ryan. He's
Get
got the Cheeto stains on the hip too, bro.
Jeez, yeah. One thing real quick before we move on. Look at L'Jarius Sneed, the guy they just paid big money for. We're talking about how we're disappointed in our big money cornerback. That's been look at L'Jarius Sneed over there, 37.8. That's 96. Oh, that's all right. It could be worse.
Jacob, I'm gonna say it again. Only 2 games. Now here's what's crazy. When there were some people saying, hey, let's go trade for L'Jarius Sneed. And I was going, no, I mean, 72.5 is good, but you're going to give up draft picks and give him top cornerback money? Hell no. Right. Yeah. But here's the problem, or the reason he got paid was because he was one of the best press corners in the game last year, according to Greg Cosell and some other people that I trust their assessment of the tape. So that's what they paid him for, was to play press. It really is. All right, he's got a great ability to play press. But you're right, man. Been in the league since 2020, 68.4, 63.6, 77.7, 72.5, and this year, only 2 games, 37.8. He's been absolutely cooked. I'm going to jump in here in a second to SIS data. Do not let me forget, Jacob, because we're almost done here. I want to know what his passer rating when targeted is this year, okay? So don't let me forget that.
Yep.
So, yeah, L'Jarius Sneed, nothing to write home about there. You got a Woozy, I think is how you say his name. Sounds like a rapper.
Chidobe Awuzie.
That's right. Got a nice album hitting in March. Y'all be ready. Okay. So his PFF grade 69.0. He's the 29th highest graded corner in the league as it sits right now. Last year he was a 62.6. So it's not like he's any kind of stud by no stretch of the imagination. But decent coverage grade 70. Obviously, he seems to be their best corner according to PFF right now. In the slot, they've got Roger McCreary. That sounds like a Caucasian painter, doesn't it? Roger McCreary.
Sounds like that guy does my taxes.
Exactly.
He's not a cornerback in the NFL.
So 62.6, 71.3 this year so far, 2 games, 65.4 with a coverage grade of 68.3. So that's how he's sitting currently. Slot corner, 66 snaps. Obviously, he is their slot corner. There's no doubt about that. I want to see how many snaps L'Jarius finished in the slot. Only 3, so he's definitely not traveling. And a Woozy, only 2. So yeah, they're not traveling. There's no doubt about that. Meaning, corners aren't following number 1 receivers. So should be a good scheme day, definitely. All right, so we hit linebackers. Let's talk safeties real quick. At the free safety position, again, these are very interchangeable. Don't see them as free and strong. I'm just going to mention it because PFF does. 2023, Quandre Diggs. There were people calling for us to sign Quandre Diggs, and I'm not sure what tape. Notable, prominent people who watch tape and know what they're talking about were saying, yeah, let's go get Quandre Diggs. And I'm going, boys, you ain't selling me on that Kirby. I can't do it. I cannot do it. Coverage grade 56.4. Run defense grade 48.4. Last year, he was a 55.1 overall. This year, 52.4. So that could be a weak spot in that secondary. And then, of course, Amani Hooker, their better safety. Pass rush grade is really helping out his overall 66.1 grade. He's got a pass rush grade of 81.4. Coverage grade 67.0. Run defense from these safeties, Jacob, not that good, bub.
Booty cheeks.
So
honestly, what I'm seeing right now is like you talked about. I see Matt LaFleur getting to his bag, doing a lot of drag motion, a lot of getting people in position that aren't wanting to be in that position. And I think that they're going to absolutely make a lot of these outside corners that don't want to be guarding guys like Gene Reed and maybe Bo Melton and those types are going to have to try and follow him. And if they can't, then okay, we're just going to hand it off to Josh Jacobs and let's see if your safeties can freaking tackle this beast.
Yeah, and if they do start loading the box with those safeties, don't be afraid to test these guys deep. Even if it's Malik Willis, you've seen it last week. Yep. Throw a jump ball out there to Dobby or Christian Watson, and you make sure they know, listen, if we take a shot, put enough air under it like Malik did last week so you can go up and make a play or at least bat it down.
That's so funny. Look what Omer just literally, as you're saying that, he goes, what a dandy grab last week that was by Romeo, going over the top and taking what the cornerback must have thought was going to be an interception.
Snatched it away. Just snatch it away from him like a child, like stealing Mountain Dew from a baby in the hills of Appalachia. So, all right, there you go. That is your PFF preview, as unprofessionally as we could possibly do it. I think we succeeded, Jacob. Let's got just a couple minutes here. I want to hit on the SIS data before I forget, and want to kind of see what was it we said. L'Jarius Sneed passer rating when targeted, right? Is what we want to look at. I've got this already pre-filtered. This is just Packers and just Titans. Okay, so at the quarterback position, if we go rates here, let me scroll this over real quick. Give me just a second. I want to get the rating on the screen. God, there's so many statistics here. This might be hard to pull off. Let's see. Give me just a second. Let me straighten this up a little bit more. It's going to drive me nuts. All right. So passer rating, obviously Malik Willis, 122.8. Jordan Love, 83.0. Will Levis is a 67.3 passer rating, okay? Interception percentage is up to 5% for Will Levis. His sack percentage, 9.6% of the time he is sacked. So really, really interesting there. As far as catchable balls, Malik Willis is 100%. That's all.
Is that good? What does that mean, Clayton? High score. What does that mean? Did
On
I break
target
it?
percentage, 78.6. Now, here's what's crazy. Will Levis has been more accurate than Jordan Love, according to PFF, right? Now, again, I don't care how accurate you are. If you're going to make knucklehead decisions, you're going to get knucklehead results, and that's what's happened with Will Levis this year, no doubt. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and jump over to pass defense so we don't run out of time. And, again, this is sorted by just Packers and Titans. So we're going to kind of get to see our corners and their corners on the same page and kind of see how they match up. So rating against, as it sits right now, this is the entire defense, okay? Let's kind of filter out some of the noise here. Let's start with the first cornerback. Well, safety. Here we go. Titans. Look at this. One coverage snap. All right. We're not going to count that one either. Right. Let's see. All right. Yeah. Carrington Valentine, who's obviously out in this game, most likely. He's doubtful, right? He has the best passer rating when targeted. That's really exciting. I'm interested to see when he gets healthy if that continues. So Amani Hooker, according to SIS, this is why we cross-check. Passer rating when targeted, only 39.6. So he seems to be playing pretty well.
He's got a good amount of snaps there. That's not no
Quay Walker.
Yeah.
Like we talk about, Quay Walker is our best pass cover linebacker at a 45.1 passer rating when targeted, according to these key statistics. Keyshawn Nixon, 56.3. Evan Williams, only 13 coverage snaps, but a 56.3. Roger McCreary, all right, the old Jacob's tax guy, CPA, 57.6 rating against out of the slot. So he seems to be playing fairly well against, on passing defense out of the slot. Xavier McKinney, 60.4. We've talked about him. Quandre Diggs, 66.7. Not horrible, even though the PFF grade is kind of low. Eric Stokes, 66.7. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., only 21 coverage snaps.
He's a rookie. That's a rookie out of Louisville that actually me and Tim highlighted once, so that's kind of cool. See that?
So here's our boy L'Jarius Sneed, 78.5. Okay, for the money you're paying him, yeah, that's not great in my opinion. And again, the PFF grade, you throw everything into an entire ball. I'm not crazy impressed with L'Jarius Sneed. There's Ernest Jones, 79.2. So
Clayton, scroll down a few players and talk about how we're paying. Jair,
don't you start this again.
I'm just saying, man. You got to see something. You got to say something. It's L'Jarius Sneed. I'm giving this guy all sorts of crap, and then I look down and it's like, oh, he's considerably better than Jair. Cool.
So Awuzie, 83.3. You might be able to pick on him a little bit, man. Might be able to do it. Obviously, Jair, we talked about this morning, 97.9 is his passer rating when targeted. Javon Bullard, we hit on that at 110.4. And then Kenneth Murray Jr., remember the PFF had him just absolutely in the dumps in pass coverage. Linebacker for the Titans, 150.0. He has 100% completion percentage.
That's crazy.
According to SIS, if there is no hiccups in their system, he has not caused one incompletion, and he's had 57 coverage snaps. He's been targeted 8 times. All 8 times the ball was caught, according to that. Now, Ernest Jones has 100%, but look, he's only been targeted once. So PFF, decent PFF grade for Ernest Jones at stack backer for the Titans would suggest he's only been targeted once. He's probably playing pretty good coverage would be my guess. So there is your pass defense looks there. Let's go to pass rush real quick because we know how important that is. And let's take a look at that from the Packers' perspective and from the Titans' perspective. Then we'll wrap this big bear up. I'm going to go take a 2-hour nap and then hit the road to Chattanooga. Ryan, if you're still in the chat, I don't know if you are or not. I haven't had a chance to tell you this, but you're my favorite podcast. I'm just joking. We're going to be at the game tomorrow, okay? We're going to be at the game tomorrow. So if you do a in-game show or whatever and you want like some live shots of the stadium, let me know. Send me the link, and I'll hop on and give you some shots from our seat. It might be sweat running down the lens because it's going to be so dang hot. But we'll
say, all you're going to see is Emilio naked running through the trailer park. That's all you're going to see.
Don't say that. Don't you dare say that. Let's see if we can filter out some of this noise here, because pressure percentage, obviously, what would be the minimum pressures?
You say 20 or 30? Is that fair?
No. It had to be much. Yeah, we're talking about pressures themselves. Let's just try to up it to 3 and see what
you
happens.
Do it by snaps or by pressures?
Pressures it makes you do it by pressures on SIS.
Okay.
So let's just take a quick gander to see what that filters out here. I think that's pretty good, pretty decent. Well, I don't know, man. You really? So the guy that's been running his mouth ain't even got 3 pressures yet? That's interesting. Let's go 2. Get a few more players, because I want to be able to poke fun of them if they haven't been playing as well as their interviews suggest. So let's see here. Let's go 2 pressures and see if we get the majority of these guys on the screen. So, all right, let's go with this. See Harold Landry. There's Devondre Sweat. Yeah. So pressure percentage with the players on the field that are actual pass rushers. Let's remove the linebackers, the corners, the safeties, all that. Sebastian Joseph Day for them, okay? He has 17 pass snaps, 11.8% pressure rate, okay? So he's not going to be starting in the nickel according to PFF, right? But first on the list for us, Devontae White at 11.1%, Kenny Clark at 8.9%. Harold Landry is getting the same amount of pressure as Kenny Clark. Now, keep in mind, Harold Landry is going to be an edge defender. Kenny Clark's playing on the interior, so that's not necessarily a good thing. Rashawn Gary right there with Landry at 8.9%. We got to take advantage of that bad right tackle tomorrow for Gary. If Gary has an off day tomorrow and there's a significant amount of snaps where you can tell they're actually getting aggressive and rushing him, and I'm not saying they will, but if I see that on tape, I'm going to let y'all know, and I'll be the first one to call it out. He needs to have a big game tomorrow. He does. Yeah. Preston Smith, 7.1%. Devondre Sweat, 5.4%. And then Arden Key at 4.3%. Where is our boy at, Jacob? Are we going to have to take it to 1 pressure? Holy cow. Where is our boy Jeffrey Simmons? Because he kind of sounds – he just running that mouth.
As far as we're searching now, we might as well look for Brenton Cox Jr., right? I mean,
hey, there you go. Yeah, look at this. Jeffrey Simmons. 53 pass rushes.
That's
on
quite a bit.
Pass snaps. Only a 2% pressure percentage. That's interesting. So glad we looked up that.
Does Jeffrey Simmons want to be a pass rusher when he grows up, or
I don't know. We'll see if Brenton Cox Jr. can give him some pointers. You know what I mean?
Just saying.
So there you go. There's a little bit of SIS deep dive as well as your PFF preview. Hopefully everybody can see that information, and we on the podcast, hopefully we communicated it well enough that you understand exactly what we're looking at tomorrow in that regard. But I'm excited, Jake. I'm excited to watch this game live and in person, drink some ice cold bruchachas, and have some good food too down there in Nashville. It's going to be awesome. As a matter of fact, that's not the bridge side of the stadium, is it? I'm trying to think. That's facing east there. Am I looking at that right, Jacob? Isn't that facing east? Like the bridge would be at our back, right?
I was going to say the bridge would be on the other side, if I remember correctly.
Cool.
Yep.
So if you look at the red seats, this is my understanding, the red seats on the right side there on that second level, that's where our seats are going to be. And you see the glass windows above those seats. We have access to a little mini atrium there that's got our own concessions and everything. So we paid extra to have access. So if it gets hot, you're going to see Clayton walk his obese butt right up those steps and go stand in that window in the air conditioner and watch a game. So that's
Mr. Mikey Riggs says, you going to have me some 2-liter Mountain Dew?
I'm going to wrestle a 2-liter of Mountain Dew away from a 4-year-old in Nashville, Tennessee. So there you go. Anything else, Jacob? We went way over. Surprise.
No, man. I hope you guys have a great time. Like I said, check out Hattie B's. There's a couple other great like taco spots, maybe if you're in the mood.
I love tacos, man. You kidding me?
Bakersfield, if they still have that there, is great. Anything on Broadway is going to be fun. But check out Skull's Rainbow Room. If you want to have something that's maybe a little bit different, check that out. It'll be fun, dude. You guys have fun. Make sure Emilio doesn't get lost and stolen and taken. You know, he still has that baby face. You don't want him to get abducted and taken. He looks like a little boy.
I could see that.
This is poor Jordan's like, I lost Emilio.
Or Jordan would be like, I lost Emilio. You never know. We're just messing. It's going to be a good time. He called me earlier and was just like, hey, what's the plan? This is the hotel. This is pretty cool. It looks a little too classy for me, but I wanted to show you that rooftop where we're going to be hanging out at, if I can find it. Bang. Let's see here. Come on. So this is just the main hub. That sucks. Never mind.
No, dude.
So they got them all over the country.
All of the new Nashville high rises, even when I was living there, are like unbelievable. When you look at the rooftop, it's like your goal is to basically make the other rooftop that you can see with invisible like distance just feel like crap. They just keep one up in each other. It's just how they do. It's just how they do it.
So on their mobile site, you can actually see the rooftop lounge. So what we're going to do is, as soon as the game's over, we're going to come straight back over, do the post-game show, okay? And then we got reservations that evening in the rooftop lounge overlooking the skyline of Nashville. It's going to be – and it's not like overly fancy either. It's cool. They said they serve like bar foods, like burgers and wings and stuff. So Mandy will have to drag me back downstairs away from the food. And, he gets shut out of that time. So anyway, that's it, guys. We're out. Appreciate y'all. Everything goes as planned. There will not be a pregame show tomorrow. There will be a postgame show. We usually go live immediately following the game, but you got to give me time to get back to the hotel. Jacob and Tim want to go live immediately following the game. That's totally cool. And then when we get to the hotel room, we can jump in. That's totally fine too. And we'll just give you 10, 15 minutes of our takeaways, that type of thing. I will definitely be trying to tweet out stuff all day long to give you guys kind of a little look at the stadium and all that good stuff, give you a little bit different perspective.
So Turtles is already blaming the loss on my hat. I will be fair. I shouldn't wear this hat. This is an old school hat. And too old for this is calling you out, Clayton. Says Clayton has that Michael Scott Paper Company money.
Right. You can't hide credit, baby. You can't hide credit. You know what I'm saying? Nah, it should be a good time, man. I'm that dude that I haven't had a car payment in over a decade. And I drive a clunker and pay cash for everything, and I'm just a cheapskate, but I waste money on sports. That's what I do.
I mean, you're a boss at Ross. You're quite partial to Marshalls.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't do my own shopping. Mandy just says, here, put this on. I go, okay, yes, ma'am. That's me. So
yes, ma'am.
How it works. That's why she I removed her right to make fun of the way I dress, Because sometimes I walk out of that bedroom, we go out to dinner, and then she give me this look, like, what the hell do you have?
You created me.
She'll throw a flag on it, you know what I'm saying? Like, get back in there, change clothes. That's the way it works. So, all right, we're out, guys. Appreciate y'all. We will talk to you tomorrow during the post-game show. Everybody enjoy the game. If you got any questions or anything, or just want to hit us up, you can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Shoot me a DM. And, I might pop on to Ryan's live stream if he's doing one, if he wants us to. So for those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us part of your day again. Thank you, iRock, for the kind words there, buddy. We don't think it's a W stream. It sucks. The whole show sucks. But we still have fun. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world.
Bon dia.
Go, Pack, go.